This is reddogterrain. Welcome back to the shed. Today we're building another but better aqueduct. So my inspiration for this aqueduct is the Aqueducto del Huila, which is in Andalusia, Spain. It was originally built to carry water to the old San Joaquin de Amaro sugar factory. It's approximately 40 meters tall and 60 meters wide. Its construction was completed in 1880. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Jeffrey, why are you making another aqueduct? Well, some people said that my last aqueduct wasn't really an aqueduct. Some people said that it didn't carry water. Some people said that it didn't go anywhere. Some people said it just kind of ended, and therefore not really an aqueduct. So after cutting up a couple of trapezoids worth of cardboard, I glued them down to the wood base and then covered the front of that with cheap dollar store foam board. I really tried to make sure that these were, I also covered the top with the cardboard. I really tried to make sure that these were straight and that they were, the angles were right. I knew that this might end up having a fair amount of weight on top of it once I've added all the effects and stuff like that. And then also making it playable so it didn't fall apart. I peeled off the black backing paper and cut up my rectangles of foam. I wasn't too worried about where they met at the top because I knew that there would be lots of glue and sculpt mold and grass and stuff to cover up any of the joints that didn't line up. Textured everything with an aluminum foil ball and some rocks, really got in there. When I was doing the foam down the sides of the canyon, I had a couple different layers just to make a little variation in it. In the end, I don't know if you can really see it. It's there. It's slight. Everything gets covered in the secret sauce, which is of course just black paint and Mod Podge. This is done to strengthen the foam, but also to protect it. If you're ever using spray paints will eat up foam, and Mod Podge and paint will stop that. The next part was definitely the most difficult. I used some of that same wood that I used for the base and made this jig. But when I ran it through the Proxon, as you can see, it was not pretty. I had to go back and sand down the edges even finer to make sure that there was absolutely no bumps or anything that would catch as the wire went through. I also learned that I had to go much slower than I thought, so I turned down the heat on it and just took my time, and things came out so much better after the first couple attempts. Now when I got to the big large piece, things again got a little wonky. I probably rushed too much because I was ready to be done with it. This right here is just a piece of PVC that I glue sand to. It is an amazing little tool that I made up just to give that kind of concretey brick texture without having like big rivets in it. I've used it all the time, and as you can see, well, once it focuses, you can see it comes out really good. I cut the aqueduct part to where it would fit into the canyon. I did my best trying to get it there to line up with no gaps, but there's definitely gaps. But I wasn't too worried. Again, I knew I would be able to fill it up with crusted and grass and stuff like that, and sculpt mold too. The two bottom layers have cheap dollar store foam board between them, just to add a little variation to it, give some extra ridge and texture. One of the other problems I was seeming to have was the foam wasn't sliding very well on the Proxon, so I sprayed some WD-40 and wiped it down. I don't know how much this really helped, but it might have helped a little, and a little is better than nothing. So while I cut up more arches, I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe and leave a comment. The comments mean the most to me. I had somebody reach out and say that they didn't know what to comment. Well, my suggestion is tell me your favorite letter. Just leave a letter, and then I'll know that you watched the video and that you enjoyed it. Let me sneak in here and thank the band Aya for the use of their music in all of my videos. This 25-minute banger is off their live album, En Vivo en Cabezas de Tormenta. Thanks, guys. Man, this next piece was just way too big. I think I ended up having like 15 different arches, and then even that wasn't big enough. Oh wait, no. I had 8. Only 8? No. I did it twice. I don't know. I don't even know why I did it in Roman numerals either. I ended up having to like extend it even further because this was just the part that was in the canyon, and I needed the part that went like outside of the canyon. It was big. I carved in the bricks, and that took a long time. This is the extension that goes on the land once it's crested the canyon. I cut off the top, and then I ran the long piece through, again cutting off the top so that I could make the channel that the water would sit in. With the top off, I ran it through the Proxon again to make the walls on the side. Then I glued and pinned everything down. I also used the pink spackle to fill in the gaps. I was super worried about leakage, and because eventually there will be resin. I probably overdid this, but I would rather spend way too much time putting all this little pink spackle and making a mess than having it leak all over the place and ruin the whole thing. I forgot to film it, and it was probably going to be hard to see anyways, but on the inside of the arches I used a thick cruster to give a texture. It was paint, and I laid it on thick, lots of coarse sand, again for a different texture, and also to cover up the mistakes I made when I was using the jig on the Proxon. The arches got the secret sauce, and then I painted the interiors just a real light beige color. Going back to the landscape, I painted everything in reds and browns and tans. I wanted to make it darker because the bricks on the aqueduct would all be red, so I wanted it to contrast a little bit. I would add Sculptamold to cover up any mistakes and smooth out things. I'd also add lots of foliage and bushes and grass and tufts. A collection of officials from the city's Office of Magic, Engineering, and Construction stood on the edge of a high cliff. "Now that's a proper aqueduct," said the foreman. "Look at those arches and the shapes. Look at how precise the bricks are laid." The foreman turned to his apprentice. "Can you believe this aqueduct was only built a few months after the previous one? The difference in quality is astounding." The apprentice nodded her head. "The water travels south, providing for the sugar mills." Once again, the apprentice quietly nodded. "Let's take a closer look." The officials walked to the top of the aqueduct. As the sun set, they stopped in the middle and admired. Truly a marvel of modern engineering. So I've teamed up with a few friends of mine to create a network of creators, podcasters, YouTubers, and authors. We're calling ourselves the Plastic Microphone Studios. It's just a way for all of us to self-promote and collaborate and get a few more reviews and likes for our stuff. So please check out all those people in the Plastic Microphone Studios network. some icy purple alcohol and watered down PVA glue to lock in all the flock and all the grass, and we're getting close to the end. Now comes the part that I was most worried about, the resin, the thing that could just ruin the entire thing very easily. It had these old treat containers. I cut it up, I glued it on the end, hot glued it on. I put extra glue on the inside. I really wanted to make sure this all worked. And then I poured water in. I figure if the water held, then the resin would. I poured it in, left it for a couple hours, and there was no leakage. So I felt I was ready to go. It was good to go. Let's make some resin. I kind of wish I'd made a little more resin. I think it was a little shallow. It looked very green and blue, but once it had dried, it was pretty clear. I lost I didn't lose it. I left it at work. My heat gun was at work, so I had a lighter, and I burned myself a couple of times, but I did this to get rid of all the bubbles. I peeled off the plastic, and everything was good. I painted up the sides. I painted up right behind here, and this build's done. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing and liking and leaving a comment. I'll let the music play as we go to the glamour shots.